COPWATCH, policing the police every single day.
New right now at 6. It's body camera video that landed a DeLand police officer under investigation, but not off your streets.
Then I turn on my body camera, and apparently he didn't turn his on.
And tonight, we're hearing from the former officer who recorded this heated confrontation. That body camera video allegedly shows a DeLand police officer yelling profanities at a man who was just sitting on a bench. Good evening, I'm George Estevez.
I'm Vanessa Eccles. The incident recorded outside a 7-Eleven is now the subject of an internal investigation. Today, only investigative reporter Carla Ray spoke to the now former officer who took that video to her supervisor. And Carla, you found out the officer who's under investigation is still on patrol.
And we came out here, we wanted to be able to show people exactly where this happened. Those officers were here at this 7-Eleven store working a different unrelated trespassing call in the parking lot when for some reason the corporal came over to a man who was sitting on this bench, and you're about to see what happened next.
The first 30 seconds of this quick body camera video is silent. It's the pre-roll feature that preserved the moments leading up to when Allison Bainbridge watched her former corporal Ken Rambosk walk up to a man sitting on a bench outside of a DeLand 7-Eleven. She turned the camera on just in time to hear this.
I've been in law enforcement for over 8 years, and I have never been in an incident like this before. It shocked my conscience to see what happened there.
It happened on June 24th when the officers were called to this store for a different trespassing call. The city of DeLand wouldn't release documents or body camera video to us due to an ongoing internal investigation, but Bainbridge obtained copies of both incidents after filing a complaint, including this view taken from Rambosk's camera as he approached the original trespassing subject.
Did I tell you to leave? Don't raise your voice at me because I'll dump your ass. Did I tell you to leave?
This document shows Bainbridge went to her sergeant to complain the very same day. But a week later, Rambosk filed paperwork of his own, detailing what he described as concerns about the manner in which Officer Bainbridge is performing her duties. It's part of a packet DeLand sent 9 investigates today to show justification for firing Bainbridge this week.
Didn't say anything about my performance until I filed this complaint.
And today, the city of DeLand spokesperson told me that her firing has nothing to do with her speaking out about this incident. We did find that she had a letter of counseling given to her just last week after she failed to immediately turn on her body camera video in an incident all the way back in May. After that letter of counseling, she was fired just days later. She is a probationary employee. Reporting live in DeLand in Volusia County, Carla Ray, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Watch, good cop films and reports bad cop abusing innocent man, so they fired her. A good cop who crossed the thin blue line and reported a bad cop for threatening and abusing an innocent man was fired after reporting it. By Matt Agarist, July 23, 2018. DeLand, Florida. Former DeLand police officer Allison Bainbridge is the epitome of a good cop. Bainbridge was so focused on stopping crime that she, unlike most police officers in America, crossed the thin blue line and reported one of her own. After this brave act of filming a fellow cop abusing an innocent citizen and then reporting it, Bainbridge was snubbed out and fired. The incident all started last month when Bainbridge and Corporal Ken Rambosk were responding to a trespassing call at a 7-Eleven. When the officers arrived, the man who prompted the trespassing call was no longer around. However, there was an innocent man uninvolved in the original incident sitting on a bench near the 7-Eleven. After not finding the man reported for trespassing, the officers were about to leave. However, all of a sudden, Rambosk began walking toward the innocent man on the bench. At this point, Bainbridge turned on her body camera as is policy when engaging citizens. However, Rambosk conveniently left his off. And, when you watch the video below, you'll know why. Although the first 30 seconds of the footage is silent because of the camera's function, the audio picks up at just the right time to capture this public servant threaten and abuse an innocent citizen. Do you want me to beat your F-king ass? yells Ramkisun as he threatens and intimidates a man for doing nothing other than sitting down on a bench. Did I tell you to leave? Don't raise your voice at me, because I'll drop your ass. The abuse was so bad that it prompted Bainbridge to report it that very night. I've been in law enforcement for 8 years, and I've never been in an incident like this before. It shocked my conscience to see it, Bainbridge said. After witnessing the abuse, Bainbridge immediately went to her supervisor, a sergeant, and filed a complaint. 1 week later, in what appears to be a completely retaliatory move, Ramkisun also went to his supervisor and filed a complaint about Bainbridge, noting his concerns about the manner in which Officer Bainbridge is performing her duties. Bainbridge was then given a letter of counseling on July 11 related to an incident in which she forgot to turn on her body camera during a call. It happened in May and was of no consequence until she reported her fellow cop. They didn't say anything about my performance until I filed this complaint, Bainbridge said, who was then fired days later. It is important to reiterate that Bainbridge was fired for an incident in which she allegedly forgot to turn on her body camera, the exact same thing she recorded happening with Ramkisun, except that he threatened and intimidated an innocent man as well. Now, Bainbridge is fired and Ramkisun is still on patrol, epitomizing everything wrong with police in America. This cycle of the blue line of protection can only persist for so long before there is no one left with enough courage to call out the corruption. As Shannon Spalding, a whistleblower from the Chicago Police Department, points out, this blue code of silence and punishment is already an unfortunate reality for most. It's no secret that if you go against the code of silence, and you report corruption, it will ruin your career, Spalding said. Unfortunately, this type of response to good cops, who try to call out corruption in their department, is the rule, not the exception. Previously, the Free Thought Project brought you the story of Laura Shook, who tried to call out corruption in her department. Naturally, they tried to run her through the mud and fire her. Also, we broke the story of a cop in Buffalo, New York, who was beaten and fired after she stopped a fellow cop from nearly killing a handcuffed man. In Kentucky, a sheriff's deputy was fired for insubordination after pointing out that the sheriff had planted drugs in another deputy's car. Even though the sheriff was indicted, the deputy was still fired. TFTP also exposed the Baltimore Police Department's attempt to intimidate a whistleblower officer. Detective Joe Crystal became a target of intimidation for his entire department after testifying against other officers in a misconduct case. Following his testimony, he received threats from other officers, and even found dead rats on him and his wife's cars. The thin blue line, it seems, is akin to the mafia. Cross it and you will be snubbed out by the rest of the gang. Police use who may want to retaliate against him physically.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.